You know, all week, all day today, we've been telling you about Friday Q&A Faith Day. Well, it has now arrived. Mike Galanos with the Get to the Point segment, causing quite a buzz today, my friend.
Yeah, we've got a ton of emails. I want to thank you, the viewers, for sending in some great questions. We only have time for a few, so we want to get right to it. We've got a great panel here to tackle some of these really hard-hitting, controversial questions dealing with faith. Let's introduce you to our panel. You may have seen him on his TV show on the Learning Channel, Rabbi Shmuley Botek, joining us once again. Good to see you. We also have with us Baptist pastor Chuck Baldwin. He hosts his own radio show called Chuck Baldwin Live. And we also have with us Dr. Amina Wadud. She rounds out, our elite panel. She's a professor of Islamic studies, also the author of the book Inside the Gender Jihad. All right, let's get right to it. Let's start with this question. Good one from Colin in St. Louis. He says, no religion has ever been proven, so why raise your kids like it is the truth? Nobody truly knows what truth is. They can only have faith. If truth were known, wouldn't everyone have the same religion? And why don't parents or churches explain this? All right, me personally as a parent, I want to pass my faith on to my kids, and of course I'm teaching it as truth. Pastor, let's get you in on this one. Where am I going wrong? I know some say, hey, let your child make that decision at age 18, and ultimately they will make that decision. But shouldn't I teach it as a parent as truth?
Yes, Mike, absolutely. The Bible instructs me as a father to bring my children up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. If I don't teach my children the truth and what I believe to be the truth, you can mark it down. Somebody else will be teaching them what they believe is the truth.
And I know there's some statistics out there that say if a child, and talk about Christianity here, if they don't come to know Jesus as Savior by a certain age, 18, 20, the numbers really drop off that they ever will. Shmuley, I know you disagree with me on this one. What's your take?
Religion is not the truth, Mike. God is the truth, and there are different paths to God. Religion gets into trouble when it claims to be the exclusive truth, as if it has a copyright on truth. Judaism has a truth, and Christianity has a truth, and Islam has a truth, and if only when they start learning from each other do they have a whole and complete truth. The fact is that it's the destination which is what is important, not the means how we get there. It's things that lead you away from God that aren't true. If you live for money, if you live for materialism.
Let me quickly challenge on that one. So you're telling me in the Jewish home, you're making it sound like it's a multiple choice, that a child is told, okay, pick whatever faith you like, just live a good life and you're okay. Is that what's going on?
Absolutely not. We teach our kids to be Jews because for the Jew is truth. It's like men and women. What's true? Masculinity, femininity. Should I wear a dress? Well, I'm a man, so there's a certain truth which is for me, but it's not an exclusive truth. Jesus is a truth for Christians. He has brought them to God, billions of them. Muhammad has brought billions of Muslims to God. It would not be true for me because the Jews already had God. But the idea of my telling some Muslim or Christian that if you don't become Jewish, you're going to hell, that is an abomination. Not only is that untrue, it's sinful, and it's what brings religion into disrepute.
Wow, Dr. Wadud, let's get you in on this. How important is it for us as parents to teach, in the case of Islam, that Islam is truth?
I think it's important for us to focus a little bit more on the children. I think children are full human beings. Eventually they will make their own choice. So my job as a parent and a believer is to give a living example of the things that I think are good and righteous and the things that I think that will contribute to the well-being of all human beings. And of course I'm inspired on those things from my own faith tradition as a Muslim.
All right, let's get to the second question. This one comes to us from Barbara. This is really a point of contention for a lot of folks, people of faith, and not really. Why do some churches preach abstinence from alcohol when the Bible warns you basically not to get drunkenness again? Dr. Wadud, let's start with you on this. What does the Quran say about alcohol? Is it okay to drink?
Well, in the Islamic holy book, the Quran, drinking is absolutely prohibited. It's considered to be haram. So those are very strong terms. Ultimately, people will make their own decisions, and my concern is that if they make decisions, they should make decisions in such a way not only to exemplify the knowledge of the text, but also to determine what will be better for their development long term. And I think alcohol is one of the things that's been extremely detrimental to our health and to our spirituality as well as to our culture.
Pastor Baldwin, let's get your take on this. Again, the Bible does not say you can't drink. We're warned against drunkenness. But what about the stumbling block? If my friend has trouble with alcohol and I'm drinking wine or beer in front of them, aren't I accountable that I'm taking this brother or sister down a wrong road?
No question. The Apostle Paul told us very clearly that we should not allow our liberty to be a stumbling block in someone else's life. I can tell you from personal experience, my father was an alcoholic, my wife's father was an alcoholic, my dad was delivered from alcoholism through Christ, my wife's father never was. I know the damage personally as to what alcohol can do in a home. The Bible is very plain on the subject of drunkenness. And the question is, how many drinks does it take before a person becomes drunken? And I think we have to recognize that no one would ever get drunk if they never took that first drink.
Right. Shmuley, what's your take on alcohol?
Well, you know, in Judaism, nothing is good or bad. Everything is neutral, and it's the use to which you put it that will determine whether it's good or bad. Now, alcohol brings people together. Certainly, Jewish celebrations largely revolve around wine. You should never do anything to excess. But to say that you can't have it at all is asceticism. It's saying that the physical world is something bad, it's evil, and we just have to live our lives ethically in order to get into heaven. Jews are not really interested where they go when they die. We're not interested in heaven. We're interested in the joys and pleasures of this earth. We can partake of wine, we can partake of sex, anything which leads to a glorious life, but it has to be responsible, and it has to be directed to a beautiful purpose.
All right, here's a heavy question. This one comes to us from Randy, Bristol, New Hampshire. He says, we talk about how the world will end because of many reasons, but do you think that disagreement of religion may cause that end? What can we do to prevent religious intolerance from causing global destruction? We're going to hold that one over until the break. Panel, load up your answers. That's going to be a good one. That's a heavy one. We could do an hour on that alone.
We could. I'd actually like to do an hour on it, but they won't let us, will they, Mike? All right, well, we'll tackle that when we get back from the break. Welcome back, everyone, to Prime News. And we are back with Mike Galanos and his elite panel tonight for the Get to the Point segment. And you left us hanging with a huge question.
Very provocative question. Real quick, let's reintroduce the panel, and we thank you again. You guys have been great. Pastor Dr. Baldwin, Rabbi Shmuley Botayak, and also Dr. Amina Wadud. Thanks, everyone. And let's reintroduce the question. Again, this one from Randy, really provocative. We talk about how the world will end because of many reasons, but you think the disagreement of religion may cause that end. What can we do to prevent religious intolerance from causing global destruction? Dr. Wadud, let me ask you this. What is intolerance? Is it I'm right and you're wrong? Is that intolerance? And is that the route that's going to lead to the end of the world?
Well, my concern is actually over the word tolerance. Sometimes the word tolerance is taken to mean I will allow you to have your opinion only for so long as it takes me to convince you of my opinion. I'm a person who believes in what I call radical pluralism, which is that there are differences in the world, and the need to be able to respect the differences doesn't mean that you have to believe in them or that you have to agree with them, but that you have to decide on terms of coexistence. And that coexistence with regard to the context of religion means to accept that people may believe different things, but at the same time we can have the same goals. And those goals would be, how do we contribute to the well-being of ourselves as humans, to others, to the planet, and to what we believe to be sacred and holy.
Okay.
And that, to me, is a little bit more than tolerance. That's actually a little bit more radical.
We want to get everyone in on this. Rabbi, what's your take concerning the word tolerance and the feeling of, for some that are devout, there is no compromise. My way is the way, and that's it. And I know you don't agree with that, but let's hear what you got.
Well, it's absolutely tragic that religion that has brought out the noblest human characteristics for millennia, altruism, selflessness, also has brought out cruelty, condemnation, and so many religious wars where some people have killed other members of a religion in saying that I'm doing you a favor by killing you because if I force you to convert to my religion at sword point, then you're going to go into heaven. It is time for religions to finally say categorically that I respect your faith, and you're going to go to heaven, and we will live alongside each other, even if we're different, because it's God which is important. I mean, it would be wonderful if on this panel right now, the pastor and, Christians are great friends of Israel, and yet they want Jews to convert to Christianity because they say that without Jesus you can't go to heaven. Well, come on. I mean, Jesus was a Jew.
Shmuley, I hate to cut you off. We want to get the pastor in on this, and you said something very provocative, Pastor. We've got to get your take on it. He says, I respect your faith, but we're all going to heaven. In Christianity, that's not the case. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and that's it. Bottom line, isn't it?
Exactly right, and we cannot and will not compromise that message. Jesus is the only way to heaven. We believe that. Specifically to your question, though, I firmly believe that God created the world, and only God can end the world. I do not believe that man is going to be able to end the world. I do not think it's going to be religious intolerance or anything else created by man that's going to end the world. I believe that God is in control of the affairs of men. He decided when mankind began, and he will decide when it ends.
All right.
I think it's all in his hands.
Pastor, we got to go.
I, on the other hand, believe that God and humans, work in cooperation, that we are agents of God, and therefore we can cause the destruction of the earth by neglecting to recognize that
we hate to cut everybody off. Doctor, I'm sorry. You guys have been great. Again, Rabbi Shmuley Botayak, Dr. Amina Wadud, and Pastor Chuck Baldwin, thank you again. We hope to do it again, and we're going to do it again next Friday, Erica. We're going to take your questions on faith again every Friday.